life's meant to be goofed, like you're meant to goof around in life. Life's meant to be like fun, right? And it helped me get over these unconscious belief systems that I had programmed in my brain that life was meant to be a certain way and you are not supposed to make mistakes. You're supposed to be perfect and everything's supposed to like look and see and be beautiful. But who created that? I learned through hypnosis that I was creating that in my own mind with all the beliefs that I was fed through, family, education systems, government, society, whatever it is. And I had to overcome that. And that's what hypnosis did for me. It also unknowingly pushed me into different cycles, right? And those cycles then became like, you're doing it, right? You're applying it. Now I'm applying everything I learned. I'm doing it. I'm living my life. And I'm not carrying like what my mom thinks or, what my friend says about me or whatever. Now, I think some of that comes with age, but it's also like this process.
Well, welcome back to the Remember You podcast, the place where we peel back the layers, reclaim the parts of ourselves we have abandoned, and remember who we really are beneath the noise. I am so glad you all are here, listeners and co-hosts. And whether it's your first time tuning in or your 10th, you've made it back, and we're so glad you're here. Welcome home. Today's episode is one that speaks directly to the soul, especially if you've ever lived your life by someone else's rules, pushed your body past its limits, or woken up one day wondering, how did I get so far from myself? Our guest today, our very own co-host, Christina Olson, conscious investor, mother, founder of Bright Soul, hypnotherapist, serial entrepreneur, all around badass in my opinion, but built and sold multi-million-dollar company and a voice behind the show today. We are going to bring you behind the scenes and not the LinkedIn version, but the soul level moments that rewired everything for her. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm
Awesome.
excited.
Yes, let's roll. Where are we starting today, Christina? You've got a lot to talk about.
Well, what do you guys want to hear? The beginning of my story, the end of my story, everything in between?
Let's hear the origin.
The origin of my story.
Yeah.
Well, even before jumping into that, because I do think that's important, is who might resonate with your story today? Like if our listeners are just tuning in, who are people that will really resonate with the journey that you're going to talk about today?
I would say people who are high performers and believe that hard work equals, the best performance, the best outcomes, have to have burnout to prove who you are and what you're doing. And, there's also a lot of me that's the dreamer that had my head in the clouds a lot of my life and came up with, every other day I have a new idea on what kind of business I'm going to start or new business.
I love that a lot.
And so then I tend to burn myself out a little bit. So it's
perfect. So this is a pretty wide net.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So if you're a little loose with it, you've got a lot of ideas, or if you're just an absolute, hardworking, nonstop, don't know how to like chill out at all.
Yes.
You'll resonate with parts of this journey.
I no longer identify with being an adrenaline junkie for a lot of my life. I didn't know how to function without just being always high on adrenaline. I still have a hard time with it. Like I love my
coffee. Won't go skydiving with me? That's still on my list.
I had my motorcycles license. I had a Corvette when I was 23. I was an adrenaline junkie. After I had my kids, it settled me down a little bit. But there's still times when I'm like, oh, I want to go do that. And then I'm like, maybe no.
Well, before we get too far out, I have a lot of questions about all those things, but maybe we'll take that offline. Let's just jump into your story and let's start with where all of this begins. Because really, I think there's a lot of different places to start, but we'll see where you take us.
Yeah, I think the ending where I am today is also the beginning of where, everybody can be. And needs to understand that there's a balance. I don't believe in a balance of work life necessarily, but a balance for yourself that you can have it all. And how do you get there? So for me, I had, I guess, this is, I don't know if it's an overused term, but like a spiritual awakening in 2016, 17, where I had a lot of things just continuing, replaying in my life, the same issues, the same relationship issues, the same, all of this. So I went through my life up until that point where it was check the boxes, get your degree, get a really good job, get a house, get a husband, get some kids, get that white picket fence, like have the 2 dogs or whatever, and have like what I was grown up to be like a perfect life. And in 2016, that was like all falling apart. And it was because I wasn't really I didn't love myself. I didn't think I was worthy. And I didn't know that till way later. But now I realize that all of the people in my life were a mirror reflecting all of the things that I felt about myself. And so during the 2016, 2017, I started working out a lot. And I realized that when you start to feel better, then you look better, like your body's functioning better. And all of a sudden my eyes started opening up. And that's actually when I started going, I was having a lot of problems. A friend of mine, actually, she was my nanny, told me, hey, go see this hypnotherapist. He's really good. He can help you through a lot of the issues that you're having. And he was actually the one who opened my eyes to The Secret and the law of attraction and what I was doing and how it was attracting, how I was talking to myself and what was happening in my life was all mostly, it took me 4 years to realize this, but it was all my own mirrors reflecting back. So every time I interacted with Justin, with Hope, with Michelle, whatever feelings I was feeling was what I was actually feeling in myself. And so through the hypnotherapy process, I was able to change my language. And still to this day, I have a hard time with the language. It's something that I will forever be working on. And I believe that you always need coaches and people in your life that surround you that can help you remember these things, right? That's why we created Remember You. It's how am I speaking to myself? I mean, an example is even today, right? When we were getting ready for this podcast, I'm like, man, I look tired. And Michelle was like, no, you look beautiful. And I was like, that's what I needed. You need people in your life that will do that. And that's why I think this group of people that we have here is really awesome because we can help our audience realize how beautiful each one of them are and how powerful you are when you find your purpose and your people and when you can speak real to them and love them no matter what. And so going back to my journey, 2017, I was starting to realize okay, my marriage is falling apart. My life's falling apart. And I blamed my ex-husband on everything. It was his fault. He was always angry. Nothing bad. I was never bad. Nothing.
Obviously.
I was not 50% of that. Okay, yes, I was. It took me a while, though, to realize that. And by the time that relationship was falling apart, it was too far gone. So I don't know if any of our listeners or you guys have read The 7 Principles of Marriage. I don't remember who wrote it, but it's basically once you start talking to each other poorly, once your relationship is, the trust has eroded, there's really no turning back from it. It's you can go to all the talk therapy you want. You are in this bad cycle of blaming the other person. And until you, again, go back into your own self and realize that everybody you're interacting with is your mirror, there's no changing. And so to me, it's no regrets in life. But if I could give one piece of advice is before that your marriage or your relationship goes into that place, or if you're feeling those things coming up, go inwards and deal with it, because there's a part of you that's keeping you safe. And
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you say go inwards, what does that mean? Like, what does that look like?
So say your significant other is really frustrating you, and, you're just like, man, I can't stand that. They are always yelling at me, or I'm never perfect for them. Let's just say that actually happened. I always felt like I wasn't good enough. And so when you start feeling that from the person, go inwards and talk to that part of yourself. Ask yourself, like, get into a meditative state, lay down, do some breathing, and ask yourself, what is it that you're trying to keep safe, having me feel this way? And how can we come to an agreement, a compromise on, let's get on with my life, keep me safe for some reason that was serving a purpose, right, from my childhood or trauma or whatever. And let's realize that I'm safe within myself as a whole, and that part of me can let go of the anger or the being scared or being fearful or whatever it is. And as you start doing that, you can start to become more of a whole person. Another example I can give you, and it's what really changed my whole life, was in 2022, I got remarried, and he travels a lot. Okay. So I was always like really worried that every time he was traveling, something bad was going to happen. Like that he was going to, I don't know, cheat on me, or like I couldn't function by myself. And I had to deal with two things there. One, I had to realize that he is not the one that keeps me safe. I keep myself safe. And the fear of losing somebody was actually I had to come to a realization that you're always going to lose people, no matter what, like whether they die, leave you, at some point relationships end. And so you have to be willing to go within yourself and say, hey, it's me and God and the universe, whatever people believe, and say, I can keep myself safe. I'm here, and I have a higher power that's also there with me. And I will always keep moving forward and have my purpose in life as long as I'm here doing whatever it is on earth that I was meant to be doing, right? And so I had to do a lot of soul searching during that time, because it was going to tear that relationship apart again. And he was like, I don't know, you were so cool like when we were dating, and you were like so open. And then all of a sudden now you've become like a crazy weirdo about me traveling. And I was like, yeah, I have. What is it? And so I had to do a lot more. I went back to hypnotherapy. I had to do I did EFT. We did a section on that, and tapped out some of the stuff that I had to work through from my childhood, and dealt with it from a subconscious level, and realized that some of that was from relationships in my past, and also relationships with my family and my parents. And I got rid of that, and I've centered myself. So for me, that's really important part of having a healthy relationship, is one, having a healthy relationship with yourself.
Yes.
Something that what you were mentioning, like that fear, did you come to any connection with like fear of abandonment, or any connection with that as you're talking about your husband being out or losing that relationship?
Yeah. And that's where, yes. So I didn't do a great job articulating. So that's where it came from. It was being abandoned, not knowing, like feeling like I was going to be alone in life, and just you get so attached to that one person, realizing that like you're your person, right? There's no other person in this world that's ever going to fully make you happy. You are all solely responsible for your happiness and the love that you give yourself. And our society does not train us to love ourselves. It's give, not receive. And I don't think I ever even was told like, hey, you're allowed to like love yourself, receive that love from yourself, and feel that. I had to learn that like on my trail of breadcrumbs that I had in my life.
Let me ask a question to each of you here. Did you grow up with a good example of like parents or, you know, people that we looked up to as kids that had that type of relationship where they were interdependent, not codependent on each other. So like my example of love growing up was that codependency. They were happy because of the other person, not really whole with themselves.
Absolutely. I would say even not just my parents, but like
Society.
yeah, just even like family members, aunts and uncles. I have a really big family. So I was like always surrounded by like, you know, my cousins were like my neighbors and stuff. So it's like, I think it's almost generational and there wasn't another way. So it's like, I almost don't blame them. It
No,
just
not at all.
was like
Yeah.
so normal. Not only the codependency, but also a very much, I come from a family that's like hard work, self-sacrifice, like, you know, you have to earn everything. Like, you know, what's self-love? Like, that's not even in my language. I think at one time, I remember like a long time ago, I asked my dad, like, if he knew what self-love was. And he was just like, that's all a bunch of bullshit. You know, like, it's just like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and like, get it done. Like, and there's a level of that like is valuable, but like, you have to have that balance. So I really relate to, I think so many people can relate to that. Just like overgiving or just like, I would say losing yourself completely in a relationship or even a business.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But that's the next thing I did. So I lost my relationship, right? And I poured myself into my business. And
what was your business? So give everyone a rundown. Cause like, I'm like, I know your life story and I'm like all the things, but give us a rundown.
So I ran a recruiting company that had 3 different lines of business, and one was temp recruiting. So I placed temporary employees at large manufacturing companies. The other one was a recruiting process outsource. So we sat and looked and fielded like the company that we represented, but we were actually our company working for them as their actual recruiters in-house. And then the other part was just more consulting. So consulting on recruitment processes, HR processes, whatever it would be, and place people at companies that way. Along with, I mean, we did perm placement, but that was not, I could do a whole episode on why perm placement I think is not good.
Yes. So that was the premise of, let's talk a little more about your business and like, so this was all the chaos going on around you with your relationships. And then did you start your business while still in your first marriage? Or was it after?
So we're being real honest and like vulnerable here. So when I was 17, I got into a relationship and I got married to get out of my parents' house. I was raised very Catholic and we did move in together, but it was like, okay, you have to be engaged or whatever. And so I needed to get out of my parents' house. And my number one value, I did not know this, was freedom. And it has always been freedom. Like, don't push me down. Let me be who I'm going to be. Let me speak my mind. And that is not the type of house I was raised in. It was, you are obedient. You play by the rules. I'm going to control every movement that you make. And that now I am so thankful for, because it made me who I am today. And if I wouldn't have went through that, I wouldn't be here, I bet. I would still be learning a lot of life lessons to figure that out. Anyways, I got married really young when I was 21. And then I got divorced a few years after that because it was really traumatic. And
you were so young.
Yeah, bad things happened. And then from there, I moved back in with my parents. And then I found a condo, renovated it, and moved out finally. Then I got into my second marriage where, you know, I was with my ex-husband and I had my kids and all that. And this is now my third marriage. So it's been a life of a lot of learning and a lot of, you know, when you hear people talk about how life just keeps giving you the same lessons over and over and over again, that was me with relationships. It was with romantic relationships. It was even with friendships. It was with my businesses. I was not learning the lesson of, which we talked about already, which was the self-love, the I am my own mirror, all these things that, in this journey of life, if you don't learn your lesson, you just keep getting them over and over.
Well, and it sounds like too that so everything you're saying with your relationship patterns is like self-abandonment, not embodying self-love, extreme burnout, kind of all these things, but it seems very mirrored to the path of like what happened when you were building your business.
Yeah.
So
it is.
You
and that's
built your business in the second marriage?
Yes, the second marriage. And my whole thing was freedom. So my tagline for my business was, you're now free to what did I say? You're now free to manage your own destiny.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, I built this app I was always working for myself as soon as I had my second kid, because I just couldn't. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, but then I didn't want to be. And me and my ex-husband started a company, and it was recruiting. We were placing IT consultants all over the Chicagoland area. When I knew that like this relationship was not going well, I started really pouring my heart and soul into a new company. And that company was created to give college level students the opportunity to move freely to different companies and try the companies out before they made like a marriage relationship with the company, right? So we created this app, which at the time was supposed to be like Tinder or whatever. It basically helped to see the person's mind, body, and soul, and what their motivation was from a soul perspective, not just like how much money do I want to make, what location do I want, like the general things for recruiting. And so we had like a briefcase, and then we had their soul, and like they filled out this assessment that helped really understand what their motivations were and who they were as a person and what drives them.
So how does that relate to your journey as like finding yourself? Because you've been in recruiting,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm sure it was probably binary
Mm-hmm.
back then, right? With your ex-husband and that aspect of things. But then that goes into your new business and you finding yourself. That seems like a strong correlation, right?
It was. I mean, now that I look, the whole thing, when I counsel people or I do consulting with them or my clients, I always say like, first figure out what your values are. Most people don't really know what their values are. Now, by accident, I did not have any good coaches or anything, came up with this freedom thing. Like I knew, and for me, until later, I would realize like, oh yeah, everything I've done in my whole life is like all about freedom, the freedom to do what you need to do to follow your life's passion, right? And so that just naturally came up because I was so involved with this company. It like
Block Force.
Yeah, okay. All of it was just, I was pouring in all of the things that were my values and my love. 1, freedom. 2, I was so sick of the recruiting process. It was so broken. It still is. There's so much money being poured into recruiting. I was like, I'm going to fix this where, people aren't being so judged. And that was my biggest problem. It's like, you're judged that you don't have the right industry experience. You're judged that, maybe you're making a little too much money for the level that they're looking to hire. You're judged at what your name is on your resume. Like I saw managers saying, well, I don't like that name. Like I mean, you can't actually say that because you'll get sued, but it's a reality that's going on. And so I was like, I'm going to strip all the names off these resumes. I'm going to just give them a profile. They're just going to have to hire the person that has exactly the 3 things that they want over the next 6 months. So I started to slowly work with managers on like, instead of job descriptions, I want you to tell me what the person's going to be doing in the next 6 months. What would make them very accomplished in your eyes? And let's write the job description for that. And what skill set do they need? Now, that was so far. Now we're getting to a place, finally, I think some good companies are starting to really do that. 10 years ago, that was like, what is this weirdo talking about? Like, she's screwing up our HR job descriptions. And she's like, people didn't even know what the difference between an HR job description and an ad that was going out on Indeed or something was at the time. So it's changing, but that was all, I poured my heart and soul into it. And
I was just wondering, so when does the hypnosis come into the business? Like what time frame of the business did you decide I need to do hypnosis, and then see, did that help in your business, and how did it?
yeah, so again, I stumbled across a lot of this, which is a reason why we're doing Remember You, so that people can hear this and get access to it before they have to go and stumble their way through these things. I was going for my relationship because I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, I am such a mess. And it organically, because what was happening is, I don't know if we want to go into this, but it was like I was stuck in this cycle of, and it really came back down to my self-worth and my self-love, but I didn't know it at the time. And I was going through this like learning cycle, right? It's like where ignorance is bliss. Like you're just told like what to believe, whatever you were raised to believe, right? Like for me, it was be the good Catholic girl and do these things and make sure you do the 10 Commandments and all this stuff, and followed this path in life. So I was living somebody else's path because I was told that. Then I finally started to learn, and I was like, my eyes were opening, right? Like I was talking to different people. I was expanding my friend circle and stuff. And I was like learning, and I was gaining all of this like learning. And I was like, okay, now what do I do with it? And we call it like that wall of fear, right? And so for me, it was like I was sitting at that wall of fear, like I didn't want to implement any of it. So I was like doing all this research, trying to figure out what my life was all going to be. And then I just couldn't get over that wall of fear to like start to do some of these things. Hypnosis got me over that wall of fear. And what it taught me during that process from like 2017 to about 2020 was that life's meant to be goofed, like you're meant to goof around in life. Life's meant to be like fun, right? And it helped me get over these unconscious belief systems that I had programmed in my brain, that life was meant to be a certain way and you are not supposed to make mistakes. You're supposed to be perfect and everything's supposed to like look and see and be beautiful. But who created that? I learned through hypnosis that I was creating that in my own mind with all the beliefs that I was fed through, family, education systems, government, society, whatever it is. And I had to overcome that. And that's what hypnosis did for me. It also unknowingly pushed me into different cycles, right? And those cycles then became like, you're doing it, right? You're applying it. Now I'm applying everything I learned. I'm doing it. I'm living my life, and I'm not caring like what my mom thinks or, what my friend says about me or whatever. Now, I think some of that comes with age, but it's also like this process, this unlearning process.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, I think it's starting to be talked about now, but because we're both like hypnotherapists, we like know this, but really most of our beliefs are downloaded from other sources. We're not waking up to the reality. It's like, oh, this is my mind. This is my life. This is my body. Like I can literally gut the system and like completely make whatever I want.
Yes.
And it's like, it seems so silly. It seems very obvious.
That's revamp your thoughts.
Absolutely.
Like completely change your thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the thing. So for me, it was like I've always said like, oh, I can make $200,000 or whatever. And that was like, okay, because I think I saw my dad doing it. So I was like, okay, you get a job, you get a good job, you get all this. And then with hypnosis, I was able to like push past that barrier and be like, oh, there's so much more you can do if you're smart about it. And like, oh, even though I'm a woman and I've been told all my life, like from very young, from my teachers and stuff, that I was dyslexic, I was a really terrible reader, that I just wasn't smart. And so that still carries. I mean, I still work with those issues, right? Because I'm like, I didn't read books until probably 2016 because I was so afraid that that I wasn't going to understand them, that I was going to have like ADD and not be able to like comprehend what I was reading and all of this stuff. And so hypnosis helped me with a lot of that until I actually got my certification. We actually worked through, I think, the last of that issue I had where I just didn't believe I was smart enough to, even after I had my company.
Oh my God.
Like, I really didn't believe I was smart enough to do any of these things because I was told by so many people for so long that you're just a pretty girl, just shut up and you don't know what you're talking about.
This is so exciting because, just to know that you can do hypnosis and change your thoughts and your beliefs about yourself, which is so important for everyone to do it for themselves and be aware of what they're thinking, like you said. Be aware of why you're thinking something about someone else and how to reflect and how to maybe deal with that and be okay.
Well, and it also just reflects too, like how powerful our belief systems can still be. Like, I mean, like that is crazy to me because I'm going to bring back kind of more to the business part of it, but you scaled a $5.5 million company.
Yeah, in 2 years.
In 2 years.
So I went from like, I was making like $200,000 in 2019 and in revenue. And then in 2021, I was at 5 million.
And still having the belief
that I was dumb.
Which is wild, and such a, tell a little more about that.
Yeah. So I had over.
Let's break it down.
I was like, that hypnosis helped with this. Okay, good.
Yeah.
I think hypnosis helped. So there's a piece of, you're at any of the clients that I work with, there's a piece of you have to take action and put your heel on the ground and keep walking forward every single day. You can't just sit there and law of attraction, I'm going to attract $5 million. There's just, that's a piece of it. It is. But there's also a piece that says you need to have action every day. I don't care what you're doing, but have some type of action that is taking you forward to your goals. And actually, you know what? Have a fucking goal. Because the one thing that I can say when I started the self-talk thing, every morning I ran. And I do miss this. Every morning I was running. Every morning in my head, I said, I am worthy. I'm happy. I'm safe. And I make $5 million a year. I literally said that every morning to myself, not out loud like a weirdo.
Don't come to my house in the morning. I'm just kidding. Like,
she should.
Reading my affirmations loudly for the neighbors, for the rats on the street.
They say the weirder you are, the better you are. So do it.
Lead in.
You.
Be delusional. Right?
Yes.
The definition of weird is maker of one's fate.
Yes.
The etymology of it. So, yeah.
So make your own fate. Put your goal out there and it'll happen as long as you're putting your heel on the ground and you're walking forward.
Well,
and for me, that's what I did. So I just grind it out. Now, this is where I just love what Justin has to talk about with there's a balance and there's timing and all these things because I heel-toed it too much. Did everything.
So where people can experience burnout, even though they set the intention and the goals and they're working towards it, there still can be burnout, I guess, at the way you do it.
Yeah, there is. And there was never, it goes back to the self-love thing. So for me, I didn't give myself any love, acceptance, and appreciation until it was too late. And so for me, it was like I was pushing myself harder and harder because I wanted to give my kids a good life. I, wanted to accomplish all these things. And one of my best friends in the world, he had stood by me through this whole thing. And it's funny, he came into my life because he had lost his job. And he was like, hey, we'd known each other for years, but we weren't that close. And he's like, this is what I'm thinking. I'm going to start my own company. And you've done so well with, your startup. Can we partner or whatever? He was actually the one in 21 that came to me and he's like, man, I've been working with you for 2 years now. And you are a mess. You're super burnt out. you need help. Like you can't do it all. I mean, I had at the high point, I had 20 recruiters working for me. I was their manager, which anybody who's led groups of big companies, 20 people is too much.
Wild.
It's too much. So I started putting like levels between me, but the people I was trusting and like putting in between me because I didn't value myself. I was not looking at it the right way, right? So like a lot of that stuff I look back and I know like, okay, this is what I would tell somebody else to do so they don't make the same mistakes. And that's what I do with a lot of my clients. And so he said back to him, he said like, you've got to either, find a manager that can manage the company for you, or try to sell this and like make it into something that we knew it could be. And so he introduced me to a few people to sell the company. And now that really, if you think about it, I think our listeners probably heard Christine a few episodes ago, but I didn't even know there was a Christine. I only knew, like, I didn't know you could use a broker to sell your business and all this. I was in her shoes too, right? Like I was almost getting to the point I was so burnt out. I was actually thinking of going to my biggest client and saying, hey, I'm going to dissolve this company. And like, let's come up with a plan because I'm so tired. And instead I was like, okay, I had this opportunity to sell it. And that's what I was like, okay, they're going to help me. They have a CFO. They have all these things that I don't have. I'm doing all these jobs. Anyways, I wouldn't be here today if I was still part of that. But it was also, that was the whole, when I sold it, I lost my mind because I lost my baby. I lost my purpose, even though I had like all these things. And I literally went into another spiritual awakening in November of 2023. My husband was like, I don't like you anymore. I don't want to be with you. Like, you are a miserable person. Like, I had just had my hip surgery. And then I had promised myself that I was going to help other people. And so instead of helping myself again, I was helping other people. My idea was like, oh, I'm going to go on LinkedIn and post every day. And like, hopefully somebody, even if I have one person that it helps, I don't care. At least I've helped them. And I went down this rat hole of just getting myself in trouble with the company and like all this shit that you're sitting, like, I look back now and I'm like, holy crap, that was the universe's way of like freaking smacking me in the face and saying, you know what, you just don't fucking learn. Like, you're not loving yourself. You're nothing. I'm not giving you any more because you can't learn. And so it's when I found Joe Dispenza. Oddly, I was on Amazon and I have no idea why this book came up, but it was the Joe Dispenza book of Becoming Supernatural. And I ordered it and I read it and I was like, holy shit, I've got this all wrong. I knew like from 2022 and the whole issue with the safety and the traveling with my husband was like a problem. I went inwards, realized that I'm the only safe place. I healed that part of me. I still didn't heal the love and the worthiness piece. And that was what needed to be healed. And so I did that. Yeah.
That's like, you bring up such a good example here of like, it's not clear the whole table and everything's clean and clear. Like, things grow organically and decay organically over time. It's not just one cycle happening at once. You're dealing with a lot of things, from yourself, the relationship, the business, all these things. And you got to really take the good with the quote unquote bad.
Yeah, it's right. And that's how life is.
Yeah.
What I wonder is about the hip surgery. I don't know, because you talk about symbolism. I don't know if you know what hip.
Yeah, it's going in the wrong direction.
Okay. So there's symbolism in everything that he talks about. So I just thought that was interesting.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's what it was. I was still...
The other 2x4, it was throwing it at you saying you need to stop.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yes.
But one other thing, so I find this really interesting. So You have been on a journey. That's very clear. And then getting your company to this place where, I mean, it's a cash cow and it's making amazing money.
Oh.
You get to the place, then you're like, I am so burnt out. I have to sell it, or I have to do something, or I have to quit, like something. So you get to the place, then you find the buyer, you get through it, and then you completely have an identity crisis, it sounds like, because your business was completely, or your identity was really wrapped up in the success, or just like everything to do with your business.
Yeah, it was 100%. I had nothing outside of the business. All I was doing, I even stopped working out. I was in the, if we go back to the learning thing, there's a place where you've applied all your knowledge and you just get fucking bored. And so for me, even though I was burning myself out and I had like all this stuff going on, it was like a repetitive thing. Every day I was waking up. I had my 8 a.m. meeting every morning with my team. That it was accountability meeting, and the same shit was happening every day. The same excuses why the work wasn't getting done or why the client wasn't happy or whatever. Like it was the same shit, and I couldn't figure out how to get past that, because I was like, gosh, what am I doing wrong as like a leader that these people are lying to me? And they're like not doing the fucking work they're supposed to be doing. And at some point it was me, right? I was the mirror, and I was like expecting too much out of people, right? That just weren't.
Which like is super common for most CEO founders, because you're doing like 1,000 hours of work a week. So it's like, why aren't they doing the same?
Yeah. And I was getting frustrated as hell because I was like, what the hell? Like, just do your fucking job, But then it goes back to like what we're looking at, how we're creating the mastermind for people, right? Is so that they realize that as the CEO and as the founder of the company, you are literally the soul of your company. And if I break it down into like, my company's my body, how is my soul taking care of my company? And what parts of my body are not functioning correct? What part of my company is not functioning correctly? Is it the quality control? Is it not being able to say no to clients? Is it the brain like overthinking everything? And if I went back and looked at my company, it would be, I never said no to anybody. I had a contract with my clients that I never even looked at. And every time they asked for something, especially the biggest one, I would just say, yes, whatever you need, and we would make it happen. Well, no shit, my people were freaking pissed off or mad at me, because it started off like, oh, you only have to handle 10 requisitions. And then all of a sudden the hiring went up and now they're at 40 and they have to travel to all the different sites. And I never said like, no, we need another recruiter. And it's like, we did, there was, some of it I said like, we need help or whatever, but not normally. So
then, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say with that, like I noticed a trend with high performers that we're all addicted to certain things. And a lot of it is work, right? Doing the work. And that was clearly, I think we all relate to that at points in times. And you talk about finding that balance for you, right? The people pleasing effect that comes with that, where like the worth is in the result that you provide for the client. So you'll do anything and everything to make sure that that result happens, but you give so much of yourself. And then there's some area of our lives where we build up resentment.
yes.
And we're kicking the dog proverbially, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
I'm
right.
sure that was happening in your relationship, right?
Oh yeah. It was my company. It was my relationships. It was everything, and to Michelle's point, right, is as you grow a company, you need to be looking at how do you invest in yourself, invest in the company, and not get into the habit of what I was doing. There's mentors out there. There's our mastermind. There's this podcast. There's, each one of our offerings that people can reach out and get help on how do they look at their company and their life holistically and not live somebody else's dream that they were told, like, you have to burn yourself out to be successful or whatever the belief system is that you're living by. Change it. And it's good.
Yeah. This is amazing though, hearing kind of like the windy route that this has been for you, because it really started with the breakdown of your marriage, that you were like, okay, I'm going to start my own business, and then pouring all of that energy into it. But then at the same time, because of the breakdown of the relationship, it led you to hypnosis, which led you to understanding the power of your belief systems, which actually allowed you to scale your company in 2 years from 200K to 5.5 million, then leaving the company, having another major identity moment, and then reintegrating all of those learnings into like everything that you're creating now, which is the happiest, healthiest, and most aligned version that you've ever been.
Yes.
So,
And let's just be real. We all, no matter how much we work on ourselves, we always need partners and people to help us, because it's the journey of life. Life is always going to change, and there's going to be things that happen that you just need to work through. And you need those people that you can be real with, that can say, hey, snap out of it, man. Like my kids do it to me now, right? So they know, like, I'm always love and light and and gratitude. And then somebody, I'll give you an example. We just got back from San Francisco and we had a great trip, and I dedicated like a lot of my time to the kids, right? And it was like all about the kids. What do you want to do? Where do you want to go to eat? Like, let's do this stuff. And then they got home, and I don't know, one of them was crabbing about his car or whatever. And I freaking lost my shit, because it was nothing about the car or what he was crabbing about. And I had to go back internally and be like, why was I so mad about that? Well, again, it was this, I'm giving everything and I wasn't receiving anything back, right? And so it's like, now I have the tools and the people surrounding me to be able to say, like, what happened there? And then I can observe myself.
and it's like a quicker recovery.
Yes, it's a
Yeah, I was going to say that exactly what we just talked about with the proverbial kicking the dog, right? Like, it's coming from within.
Yeah.
Your reaction had nothing to do with your son crabbing about the car.
It was all because I was feeling like not
Unseen.
Appreciated.
You gave too much.
Yeah. And
you gave too in a different way, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we all have to also think about, how do we give ourselves love? How do we take care of ourselves? We're taking care of everyone else, clients, children, parents, whatever. How do we take care of ourselves? Which is why I think part of how you take care of yourself is health-wise. Go to a trainer, eat right, do all these things, but have your alone time to whatever you like to do. Because as you're filling other people's cups up and they're not returning it sometimes, you still have to have a full cup yourself. You have to do it yourself sometimes, so.
Well, it's not outsourcing that anymore.
Right.
That's
There's
Yeah,
not
you
like
can't.
a supplement that you can pick up at the
like,
gas station to fix this thing.
Which is honestly like when you first realize that, it's kind of hard, because I really relate to so many of your relationship patterns. And like, I've definitely been I would say my whole life, very much like hopeless romantic, like total lover girl. Like I want, this like Disney bullshit, non-reality.
Give way too much of yourself.
And
that's what it is.
way too much.
Way too much. And for me, it's like I wanted everything to be perfect. So I gave, and was not, at least from like now I know what was happening, but I felt like I was getting nothing in return except for negativity.
Which is just the point, you're right, was the point that I was going to say, is just like in those patterns in relationships, it's like you always end up with the short end of the stick, because no one can make you happy as you can make yourself, or as loved or seen or felt. Like
if
at
you
the end of the day.
think about it, like when you're giving, you're draining your energy.
Right.
So then you're getting tired, and you didn't fill up yourself with any kind of thing that makes you happy, right? Like you're not going and doing your run anymore. You're not going to get your nails done or whatever makes you happy, right? Eating something that you like to eat that's not going to make you feel bad later. If you're not doing these things,
Self-destruction.
right?
Yeah.
If you're not doing these things, then it's hard to then keep giving to people that you think are not appreciating. And then they don't need to appreciate. You want to give to them, right? But when you're not in a fulfilled state, it's going to be hard to not be upset when they show that they're not appreciating, that they're going to say something negative and it's going to trigger you and it's just normal.
Yes.
It's also kind of, it's just setting yourself up for continuously being triggered and let down. And ultimately, all of this conversation is just like helping me realize too that throughout your journey, it really was like healing the relationship to yourself.
Yeah, it was.
So like your relationship with yourself, meaning it's like, how do you even develop that? What does that mean?
Well,
and so
I'll tell you, there's a book by Michael Singer. If you guys have not,
Untethered Soul.
yes,
Yeah, that's a good one.
That actually helped me too. Is just like understanding.
amazing.
He has
a YouTube channel too.
Does
It's
he?
really good.
I love the book. Anybody who needs to find a good relationship with themselves needs to read that book. But for me, what you're saying, what all of you are saying is like, I quickly like pulled myself out of it, realized I was acting like total crazy. And then I did exactly what you're saying. I was like, I have zero energy for anybody right now. And if I want to have a good weekend and like regroup and not carry on this negative, like pissed off attitude, I need to do something for myself. And so I went up, I like dropped them off at their dad's, went upstairs into my bathroom. I took the longest shower I think I've ever taken in my life. I literally sat on the floor and just let the shower like run through me. And I did like
amazing.
And that's like a cleanse.
like a cleanse, yes. And like a meditation for me, like that works. And I was like, be the observer of your thoughts. What was it that really like, got you so upset? Because it carried on from the time I dropped them off to my husband wanted to take a walk. And as we're walking, we're both screaming at each other about a freaking car. Like, what is, and we don't really fight that much. So I went and did the shower and did the meditation and realized it was just me and I was tired. I'd given too much that whole week. And to me, it was like, oh, it was supposed to be a vacation. And it wasn't. There was a lot of stress that went into it. And I think that's another thing where society like programs you like, oh, go on vacation and like you can regroup yourself. And no, every freaking vacation I've went on has been like more work. And it's not because nobody's telling me to go on like, but they're like, you have to, it's again a programming thing. Like you need to go on vacation every few months and you've got to see these things and you've got to do these things and that's experience. And like, okay, I think the best vacation I've ever been on was when I went to Costa Rica and did nothing.
Yes.
Well, not nothing, but
like relax.
We'll talk about that another day. But it's like that was the energizing yourself, focusing on yourself, feeding yourself good food, feeding yourself good books, good journaling. Like, okay, now I'm on vacation. Not this trip to Spain that was 10 days that we went to 16 different cities and
That's a lot.
20 train rides. And
So how, like, going from that identity of, overworking, giving all of yourself to outside sources, and then going to this place where, it's a journey. You get more reflective, you get more self-aware, you're able to catch things a lot quicker so they don't ruminate and, become a part of your identity long-term. So you're able to heal and recover and grow at a faster rate. With all that, the people-pleasing thing that I find with our tendency to give is being afraid of what others are going to think of us. We're not being enough, not doing enough. We're going to be abandoned if we don't do these things. They come from childhood, right? How have you seen this develop within your relationship and your kids with your own growth? Because it's really, you're changing the world,
right,
by you changing yourself. And how has the world around you that used to be so disruptive and so polarizing and so stressful, how has it changed? And also, to piggyback on that, the rate of change from your previous marriage and that business, like what was the time frame in that versus the obvious rate of growth that you experienced in this business, and the marriage seemed to have like a quick rebound of like, hey, you're going down the wrong road. This is either going to work or not work. And you changed.
Yeah.
Versus like we deal with a lot of stress
Oh my gosh, there's so much there. Let me first start by saying, as soon as I was able to really go within myself and like change the way that I was viewing situations, I was able to help my kids, right? So when I got angry with them or frustrated or whatever, I was able to be more the observer, realize it was me mostly of what I was doing and saying and all that stuff. And I was able to start to give them some tools. So even as they're fighting, right? I'm going to have you guys do this since Christina had to, or Hope had to step out.
Yeah.
Face each other. Okay. And are you okay with touching each other?
Sure.
Okay.
Michelle, you can speak for yourself. I'm fine.
Put your hand on each other's hearts.
Oh my God.
And like look at each other and feel seen. Say one thing that you can tell the other person that you feel or you see about them. Like, thank you for helping me work out, or
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Helping me with everything.
Thank you for listening.
and then how does that feel?
Strong.
Whole.
And you feel seen. So you guys don't have to do it anymore because I start crying every time I do it because it's like there's a connection there. Like I'm human, you're human, we're part of each other.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm seeing you. So every time my kids get in a fight, I say, okay, you know what? It's time to touch hearts. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, it sounds familiar. Yeah. Same thing with my son.
But it's like 90 seconds, feel that anger. Why are you so angry? Notice where it is in your body and what is making you so angry. And almost all of the time they're not being heard or seen. And so I hear you, I see you, I understand you. We're going to work through this. It's not the end of the world. And I've been able to bring that to my kids.
That's beautiful. That's such a disruptive pattern. Like even in that moment where there's no polarity between us, you got to let go of the discomfort of staring at somebody in the eyes.
Yeah.
And being able to feel them in a vulnerable space and place. And it sheds all the program.
Yeah, it makes me want to cry just talking about it. So yes.
Yeah.
Because we don't do that enough and we don't touch each other enough. And we're taught like you have to be in this bubble and don't get into my personal space.
Yeah. What's funny about that is I don't even think touching needs to happen. I think we're all, because we're energy beings, our energy is going into each other as we look right at each other, right? So there's a feeling that happens without even touching.
Yeah.
So it's powerful already. So
oh my God,
think of that.
I have a story about that.
The story.
So I graduated high school early. I was a year early. I wanted to be done out of my parents' house. So my dad actually helped me get an HR job as an intern right out of high school and going into college. And he knew I didn't want to go away because I wanted to stay around here. And the boss that I had, he was like the big boss, like the scary boss. So think of being like a 17-year-old doing like HR and recruiting and stuff. And I had no idea what I was doing. Because I was always told like that I'm dumb and so I was like, how did I get this job? And like, what am I doing here? And all this stuff. Every morning he would walk by me and he's like, hi, Christina. And I'd be like, hi. Mm-hmm. And had my head down. And so one day, and I still think about this to this day, one day he looked at me and he said, Christina, you're so beautiful. Look me in the eyes and say good morning.
Yeah.
But it was the first time I realized that I don't look anybody in the eyes because it scares me to have that connection.
Wow.
And I still have a hard time with it.
I'm always looking at him in that.
Yeah, she's able to read.
He needs to, everyone needs to take off sunglasses, glasses, and I could see I could read better.
It's so
person.
We were taught there's I'm going to screw this up, but there's a woman out there that's doing like clairvoyancy. I don't remember her name. We can put it in the show notes, but she's doing stuff to reactivate. So she does this blindfold thing where she teaches kids and adults
I've
how
seen
to
it, yeah.
how to get your clear, like we have so many more senses than our 5
Yes.
senses. And she teaches us to bring that back because we were taught, like, don't look at people in the eye. That's a sign of dominance and, you know, all this stuff like that. At least for me, that was my belief system. My parents were like, don't you look people in the eye. Like,
I see it in my neighborhood. I got a guy who walks his dogs, and I'm not staring him down,
yeah.
you know, but I'm like, I make a gesture across the street to just acknowledge him.
Yeah.
And it's been a year or
He
2,
doesn't.
and he just looks the other way. And it's just like, I wonder what that really, that is societal norm,
Yeah.
especially recently with COVID. It was like looking at people, acknowledging people. It's scary. It's, you know, and then it's just a societal thing, especially in Western culture, that connection, to be able to just see somebody eye to eye, heart to heart, is just, it's abnormal.
Right. It is. And we turn all of our, like, I guess you could call them supernatural tendencies off at a very young age.
Yeah.
Because we're programmed at 2, you know, there's no such thing as imaginary people or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, don't be weird. Like, don't, just all these things. And then all of a sudden the kids are like, oh, okay, well, I'm not supposed to be doing that. Like, I only have 5 senses. I'm not supposed to be seeing those ghosts.
Mhm.
I mean, my son, when he was 4, said to me, Mom, I had a witch visit me last night. And I said, a witch? What are you talking about? And he's like, I don't know. This witch sat on the bottom of my bed and talked to me. And still to this day, I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah.
And she said, I love you and I'm always here for you. And literally, as he's telling me the story, I have full on goosebumps right now. My mom called me and told me her mom, my grandma, passed away last night.
Wow.
Whoa, I
Very
got
cool.
chills there. Oh my God.
That's
And so
much more going on.
there's so much more going on. He was 4. He wasn't programmed to, like, not say that wasn't something that you should be seeing or talking about or whatever. And when they say, like, we choose our parents, I really do believe that, like, especially my older son, he chose me because I wasn't one to be like, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I told him, I said, Jamie, because that's my mom, that's what we call her. She just called me and said that grandma passed away, your great grandma, my grandma. And that was probably her. She visited you and you should be really thankful for that. And he was like, oh, it was so awesome. Well, then fast forward a few years later, he was telling me that he could see people's auras.
Oh, wow.
Like, he didn't call them auras, but he said, I can see people's colors. And I was like, what do you mean you can see people's colors? He's like, well, Dad has red and you change. And he's like, sometimes you're blue and sometimes you're yellow, but mostly you're green. And I was like, that's really weird. So then I started, like, looking up what that means.
Yeah. What is red?
Yeah, red is a little anger. Yeah.
Thinking.
But so anyways, it's like, I think he shut it down a little bit, right? Because there's nobody he can talk about. So I had him go to somebody who is, like, really good with, like, abilities like that he could talk to. But, you know, when both parents don't believe in it,
Right.
It atrophies.
it does.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's like, I'm called the witch doctor and I like to do all these weird things and I'm all woo woo, you know, but it's like, we need to, another thing, like another one of my million ideas that I've had was that as I was, like, starting the Remember You podcast and stuff like that, I also had this just dream of starting a school because I went into this meditative state one time that said, hey, I was like, what is my purpose now that my company's gone? And it basically said it's to protect the children.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does that mean? And I thought it was my kids. But then I was like, well, maybe I start a nonprofit school and teach them all these woo-woo ideas, but things that are like
Normalize it. Yeah.
right? And change the belief systems.
Yeah.
And so I had a whole list of all these people that I wanted to do a 12 board of directors because it was like the 12 people that have, I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but like any council, 12
Yep.
is the best number.
12 disciples,
Yes.
12 zodiac. 12,
Yes.
yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'm going to do a board of directors that are 12 people. And I was like going after like some of the big names. I went to like Aaron Doherty and like just all these people that I had been following over the years that I was like, who could be like really good board members? I reached out to all of them and I was getting like no's, like, leave me the fuck. Who the fuck are you? Like, I don't know. You're some weirdo.
Now you're on a podcast.
Yeah. And they're like, and basically one of the people I reached out to was like, this is a really cool idea, but I'm super over, like, I can't.
Yeah, it's a lot to take on.
Yeah, I'm overcommitted as it is. All I do is go on podcasts and talk, and you can buy my stuff online or whatever. And so I was like, I got kind of sad and like I stopped doing it.
Okay.
And then that's when I was like, I'm like, well, we started with Remember You. And I was like, well, maybe it's not the time now.
A path.
It's a path of like, how does this
journey.
all come together? And actually one of the people that I interviewed for a board seat, she was like, she's doing a lot of really cool stuff. And she's like, I don't know if it's a school. I think that it might be like an education program for parents, because no matter what you teach kids, if the parents don't believe it, they're going to squash it.
You got to change the environment.
Yeah. And so how do you change that before you change the school? And so there's all these like really cool things coming up now, right, that you can do. And so Remember You is about, remembering who you are as an adult at the core and realizing that everything that you believe was built into you from somewhere.
Yeah.
And going deep and understanding like, who am I without the titles, we're all part of God, we're the universe, whatever you want to say, we're all love. We came from love, even if it was a second of love making and there was no other love in your life after that.
That sparked the life. Yeah.
It sparked the life. It is love. It is pure love. And so how do you resonate at that level for the majority of your life? And how do you give that love to everybody around you? And how do you love your kids and love yourself and love to a limitless place? Because it's limitless. Like we're not meant to withhold our love.
No.
Like from a young age, I'm going on a tangent, but I did not like to say I love you, because I thought, and I was taught, like, I love you meant like I have some romantic relationship with you and like I'm giving you something and you're giving me something back. And I had this friend who like, she just loved everybody. Now, unfortunately, she passed away, but a long story, we can talk about that on another episode. But she would always say, Christina, I love you. Like every time we got off the phone, like, I love you. And I was like, you're so fucking weird. Why do you say that? But she's like, I just love you. Like, and I'm like, okay. Well, now it's like, I tell everybody I love them because it's so true. Like, I do love you. Like, I love you guys. Like, I love everybody around me. Like, sometimes, I'm frustrated with you, but it's probably because of something I have going on inside of me.
Yeah.
But I still resonate with that love. Like, if that's me, Yeah.
The more like the definition of love has been unfolding for me, or unraveling and showing itself more and more, and it's seeing clearly. So when you say I love you, it's and it can't be defined by words.
No.
Right? It's only so much that we can describe. We can describe what it's not better than what we can describe what it is. But to say I see you is really what I resonate with when you say that. And when I say that, it's not just hey, I'm connected to you.
Right.
Or you make me feel good.
Right.
Because that's what it used to be.
Right. And
right. You make me feel good, so I love you.
Right. And that's I'm going to give you something, but you have to give it back to me.
It's conditional.
It's the conditional love.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the word. And it's like, how can we teach people that even your kids, they're not I think Wayne Dyer said this, or Dwayne Dyer or whatever. Wayne Dyer. Yeah. He's like, your kids can't live for you. No. They live through you. And that stuck with me, because they're their own beings and they're going to disappoint me, and they're going to do things that I don't agree with, and they're going to have accidents and make bad choices.
And we've been brought up to carry the weight of the happiness of our parents.
Yeah.
Like, I'm responsible for you to be happy.
And that gave me
And that's like, that's too much to bear on anybody, let alone a 6 to 8-year-old kid.
And then what happens when they disappoint you, or what happens if they do make you happy forever and ever, amen, but when they get into a relationship then where they've always been the person like giving and making somebody happy and taking care
Repeating
of
the cycle.
Yeah. And then they don't know how to love themselves.
No, they can get lost.
Mm-hmm.
There was an experience I had. You talk about, kids having that magic and that spirit and that open heart. You see it in their eyes, and then it does get dim over time.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel for your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, there was a moment in time, I think it happens for a lot of kids with Christmas,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where we're taught, the magic of Santa. And it's like, it's so magical for kids. It was so magical for me. I was one of the last kids that I denied that he wasn't real. I was like, all the kids were telling me he's not real. I saw my mom and dad, put him in the Christmas tree and all that stuff. And I denied it through and through, right? I was like, no, he's real. He's real. And so with my son, we made it real and had fun
Yeah.
and magical. And you see the hype and the magic with them. And they're truly practicing manifestation,
Yes.
right? They're looking at the things that they want. They're writing it down. They're excited. The feeling is there. We all have that feeling, right?
Mhm.
Like waking up Christmas morning and seeing the presents, if you're privileged enough to have that experience. And we were doing Elf on the Shelf.
Yeah.
So I was putting, he called it race car, and name of the elf, and I'd move it everywhere every day and everything. So if you're not familiar with Elf on the Shelf, it's just this little stuffed elf that you create the magic of Christmas with, where this elf comes from Santa's place and he's looking out for the kid and he's reporting back to Santa every night. So the elf moves every night into a different place. And so my son would wake up every morning looking for a race car.
Yep.
And it was exciting. Well, I botched it.
no.
I didn't move race car, I think a couple times. And this was in the later years.
Yeah.
I say later years. It was like probably 6 or 7, maybe 8. But we did it for a few years. And my son and I are having breakfast, and he goes, he didn't move. I didn't move race car. So he's like, race car didn't move. He's like, I'm beginning to think that race car isn't real. And I'm like, oh boy, here it comes. He goes, is Santa real? And I was like, he's trusting his gut here. He's picking up something. There's some discernment going on. So I'm not going to go, no.
Yeah.
But I reflected upon this, and I'll share that. I told him that, no, Santa's not real. And then that created, that barrier between us. I lied to him, and,
Yeah.
there was a letdown there. And as I reflected upon that moment into the days that we went through, that polarity that we had between each other, and that I think what a lot of parents fear, right? And I told myself, bullshit, he is real. The spirit of
Yeah.
Santa Claus is absolutely real,
Mm-hmm.
right? It brings it out in the kids. It comes through the parents. It comes through the experience.
Yeah.
That's spirit. It's
Yeah.
experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, the witch that your son saw was an experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that can't be described through words, and
Right.
it can't be described through physical reality, but it gets it. And when we tell them that it's not real, Santa Claus, for instance, you're killing the spirit.
Right.
Okay.
I agree.
Or shutting it down.
You are. And so we had a similar experience with my kids. So my boys are pretty far apart for a normal family. They're like 4.5 years. And so my older son, obviously, he knew like there's no Santa, right? What I did with him was I said, hey, your brother's still really young. And it's our job to have that spirit and that magical experience for him until he decides that he doesn't want to have that experience anymore. So now you get to be Santa and enjoy the magic of seeing the other side. And that really helped him get through. Now, you only had one son, so you couldn't, you
Correct.
didn't. And now I don't know what my younger son's like you. He's like going into 6th grade, and we know he knows, but he still loves the spirit. And what I've said is, he's asked me a few times, and I said, well, it's whenever you decide that the magic is gone for you, and then it will be. And, that's the same in life.
Yeah,
when you decide your magic is gone, you're going to be done.
And it's right. And it should never be until it's the end. You should really believe that.
Through and through.
And I mean,
if it serves you and it excites
it's
you.
always, and it's going to excite everyone because we're all working towards goals, right? All the time. If we didn't believe that we could achieve the goals or have the things or whatever, what is there to look forward to?
There isn't.
Right.
And that's the thing. It's like what we also fall into a trap, and we probably are running out of time to talk about this, but we fall into this trap with religion that most religions, your goal is to get to heaven. And
it's a place outside.
We're living our life, shutting our magic down, shutting our spirits down, shutting our ability to be super cool, magical beings,
right?
And waiting for that to happen in heaven.
Right. Now, because this can be our heaven.
This can be our heaven.
It's a state of being. Same as hell. We've all been through hell.
Live in hell.
We've all been through it.
Let's live in heaven now. Come on.
We actually, I feel like our rules, our guidelines, a lot of the things that we do, it is our own hell that we've made for ourselves.
Yeah.
Judging all these people.
Our worries,
like, oh, so-and-so, I don't know, they must be sleeping with the neighbor next door or whatever. It's like, okay, well, what the hell? Something else is going on with them. Why are you talking,
the gossip. And when you're on a high and riding a wave and you're in heaven and being that level of joy and excitement, you don't give a fuck about anything.
No.
You're really just... you don't get messed with.
And the worries that do come in, you realize that it's the worries that you've created in your mind. Almost all of those things will never come true.
Right.
And if you can, when you get to that spot, because I believe everybody can, your life just flows.
Yeah. It's never perfect in the sense, the only perfect is like being in the now, being present, embracing it all. And you mentioning that trigger with your son in the car, what a great opportunity. Right? Like that, the vacation all led to that very moment for you to regain composure and power within yourself, to have that shower, to share that on here, to ultimately fulfill the vision, which is to teach the parents, to teach the world that it is these little steps. It's not what social media is glamorizing on these little 30-second bits or 2-minute bits. Yeah, it's all good supplement, but that's the practice right there.
Well, and that's the vision of Remember You, right? So as we grow in this podcast and as we grow the mastermind and other things that we're going to bring to our community, is so that we give people one step at a time, one actionable item that they can follow week over week that will help make their life just a little bit easier and find that magic again.
I think normalizing the woo-woo, people are afraid to really express their spirituality because of society and the workplace. And it's opening up. It's certainly, we wouldn't be having this conversation 20 years ago.
No.
Right? It's normalized.
I do still think, though, that there's a lot of people out there that if they hear what we're talking about, they're like, oh my gosh, their belief system shuts them down. And they're like, they're talking about something that just doesn't align. I can't even, and those are the people who need to hear this the most and ask themselves, why is that? Or what are they noticing really is the question. Notice that. What is making you so mad about what I'm saying or talking about or whatever it is? and sit with that and notice it. Where is it in your body? Where did that come from? What is it? And work through it.
Well put. One thing I wanted to circle back to, just, I don't know if we need to even go into it now, but like the cycle that you've gone through, the repeat cycles, because we all can identify with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those lessons, once when you learn them, they turn around a lot quicker and you experience more of the joy and the peace. Really, it's the inner peace. It's like being good with anything, no matter what. That's the inner peace. It's not like joy and excitement.
Right.
It's you in the shower, just being at one with yourself and being able to reset and get whole with yourself. What do you, I guess, like for the viewer, the listener, your journey in which you went through, I think people are looking for the quick hit now. And maybe I'm speaking for society as a whole, right? It's, if you're in a world, in an environment where you are the only one listening to this, you don't have friends around you, you don't have people around you that are talking about this. You and I talked about this. Like, how do you normalize this conversation in your everyday life? Or how do you normalize this way of being when everybody else around you is going, you're crazy, or they'll just shut you down. They won't listen to you.
Well, you're not aligned with your inner self. And so whatever they're saying to you is something you still haven't learned.
Ah, interesting.
Nice.
So sit with that.
Yeah.
And then my biggest thing is I had to change. Like, I still have a lot of close friends that I know if I was going through something hard, that they would be there for me. But I also had to change my family, like, dynamics. I had to change a lot of my friends, a lot of the people that I interacted with, and surround myself around different people and let go of some of those relationships. And know, like, if those people need me, want to talk about something, that I would be there for them. But they're not people that I'm going to spend my time with because it just doesn't align with what my life is right now. And so, unfortunately, a lot of that means that you're going to be on a lonesome highway by yourself.
I think that's one of the requirements.
Yeah.
To get,
Really?
yeah, you gotta get really in touch and in tune with being by yourself and comfortable being alone.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm already comfortable.
You got to have some degree of that, right? Because I think with the
And then those people that you're looking for, I mean, like, I like synchronicities, right? Like,
Right.
these, we didn't know each other.
I know.
And it was like,
is
you
crazy.
reached out to me, and then you introduced me to Michelle, and I had Christine or Hope. And it's
Yeah.
like, that was alignment in life,
Yeah,
right?
it was.
So it's like you get more and more aligned, and then people, like, this is my favorite time every 2 weeks when we get together and we do this.
Yes.
Because it feeds my soul, and it helps, like, I feel so energized after we leave here because it's speaking your truth,
Yeah.
helping, like, building off of each other. And
it's the vision that we've been building individually ourselves.
yes,
To then, and that's, I think, the important thing for everybody listening and watching is you have a vision and an idea and a feeling and an awareness about you that maybe nobody else around you is really acknowledging or will support or hear you out, but you got to feed it. You got to take time for yourself. It's going for the walks in the morning. It's meditating. It's paying for new friends. Like, you paid for a hypnosis professional expert to spend time with to really develop that within yourself. And then like attracts like. You start, 1 turns into 2 and 2 turns into 20 really quick.
yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, and I think another thing for our listeners is if you're getting frustrated and you're just not feeling like you're getting anywhere, maybe your company's not making the amount of money that you want to be bringing in revenue wise, maybe your relationship's not working out the way you wanted it to work out, whatever it is, it's like, just be patient and do those things that Justin just said, like, keep going one step at a time, one foot in front of another, follow the breadcrumbs, and it will be there. Your goals will come to light. maybe they're not like me. Like I wanted to start this nonprofit school. Maybe that's not what it was, but it was me following my dream of helping people and doing things. And, you know, maybe we have 2 followers on our podcast right now. Then we get to 5. You know, don't give up because it's like maybe you see some stagnant. Okay, just change something or look within or ask for the answer and it'll be there.
Yeah. Well put.
So I think
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was good.
All right. Well, that was another Remember You podcast, and we're excited to share some more with you in the coming weeks. Thank you for listening. As
Thank you all.
always,
Thank you.
welcome home.